is hormonal imbalance. And according to reports again, over 80% of women go through it globally. And one out of 3 women will experience it by the time they're the age of 35. So it's like seeing every woman on the street in their 30s already experiencing hormonal imbalance. So it is a major bane, a major topic. And of course, we're talking about the misconceptions on the show. We're talking about what are these factors that actually bring about these imbalance. What are hormones? What are glands that actually make our bodies function as a woman, even as a man as well? So it's a whole lot that will be happening on the show today. It's going to be a eye opener. It's going to be insightful. So you have to stick with us.
Yes, and another thing is people don't tend to understand why women shift, moods.
These are the reasons.
These are the reasons.
A whole lot.
So talking today about hormonal imbalance, in fact, I'm impressed.
I'm even curious,
It's just like you are going to be understanding women
today. Yeah. So, there's no pressure just for us to be informed. And you know what Monday is all about, of course, to keep you educated, to keep you informed on topical issues. And hormonal imbalance is one of those topical issues that is being under-discussed, and we are going to be discussing that on the show today. However, we have a fantastic feature for you today, and we'll be talking about cervical cancer. That is also another major thing that affects women as well. So we go on this break. Enjoy the feature.
January is a month of reflection, awareness, and action. Across the world, and here in Nigeria, it is dedicated to shining a light on cervical cancer, a disease that is preventable, detectable, and treatable when caught early, yet continues to claim the lives of thousands of women every year. Cervical cancer does not begin suddenly. It develops slowly, often without symptoms, silently affecting the cervix, the lower part of the uterus that connects to the vagina. For many women, by the time symptoms appear, the disease may already be advanced. This is why awareness, screening, and prevention are not optional, they are life-saving. In Nigeria, cervical cancer is one of the leading causes of cancer-related deaths among women. Every statistic represents a mother, a daughter, a sister, a wife, women whose lives matter and whose deaths are largely preventable. At the heart of cervical cancer is a virus known as the human papillomavirus, or HPV. HPV is extremely common. Most sexually active people, both men and women, will be exposed to it at some point in their lives. In most cases, the body clears the virus on its own. But in some women, certain high-risk strains of HPV persist, leading over time to abnormal cell changes and, eventually, cervical cancer. This is why this year's awareness focus emphasizes prevention first. Prevention begins with education, understanding how cervical cancer develops and knowing that it is not caused by witchcraft, spiritual attack, promiscuity, or poor hygiene. These are myths that have caused fear, stigma, and silence for far too long. Another powerful tool for prevention is the HPV vaccine. Yet, despite its proven effectiveness, the HPV vaccine remains surrounded by misinformation. Some people believe the HPV vaccine causes infertility. This is not true. Extensive global research involving millions of girls and women has shown that the HPV vaccine does not affect fertility. In fact, by preventing cervical cancer, the vaccine protects a woman's ability to live a healthy, productive life. Others fear the vaccine encourages sexual promiscuity. This is also false. The HPV vaccine is a cancer prevention vaccine, not a license for sexual activity. Giving a child the vaccine does not influence moral behavior, it protects health. Just as we vaccinate children against polio or measles, vaccinating against HPV is an act of care, not consent. There are also concerns that the vaccine is unsafe or experimental. Again, this is incorrect. The HPV vaccine has been in use for over a decade, approved by the World Health Organization and health authorities worldwide. It has saved lives across continents. Countries that have achieved high vaccination coverage are already seeing dramatic reductions in cervical cancer cases. In Nigeria, Increasing access to and acceptance of the HPV vaccine is a critical step toward eliminating cervical cancer in future generations. But prevention does not end with vaccination. Screening is equally important. Regular cervical screening through pap smears, HPV testing, or visual inspection methods can detect abnormal changes long before they become cancerous. Early detection allows for simple treatment and full recovery. Unfortunately, many Nigerian women do not get screened due to fear, cost, lack of awareness, or cultural barriers. Some believe screening is only necessary when symptoms appear. Others fear a positive result means death. The truth is this: early detection saves lives. Cervical cancer, when found early, is one of the most treatable cancers. Women who are screened regularly are far more likely to survive and thrive. Symptoms such as abnormal vaginal bleeding, bleeding after intercourse, pelvic pain, or unusual discharge should never be ignored. These are not signs of weakness or shame, they are signals to seek medical care. Another harmful myth is that cervical cancer affects only older women. In reality, women of different ages are at risk, especially those who have never been screened. Prevention and screening should not be delayed. This January, awareness is also about breaking silence. We must talk openly about women's health, in homes, schools, religious spaces, markets, and health facilities. Husbands, fathers, community leaders, and policymakers all have a role to play. Cervical cancer is not just a women's issue, it is a family and public health issue. Healthcare workers must continue to provide accurate information with compassion. Communities must support women instead of blaming them. Government and institutions must strengthen access to vaccination, screening, and treatment services, especially in rural and underserved areas. The global vision is clear. Cervical cancer can be eliminated. Elimination does not mean it disappears overnight. It means reducing cases to the point where no woman dies from a disease that can be prevented. For Nigeria, this vision is achievable if awareness leads to action. Action means vaccinating eligible girls. Action means encouraging women to get screened. Action means rejecting myths and embracing science. Action means speaking up, not staying silent. This January, let us remember that cervical cancer is not a death sentence. It is a preventable disease.
Yes, I like the last part that said cervical cancer is not a death sentence.
It is not
and
a death sentence.
it shouldn't be limited. The education of cervical cancer should not be limited to the hospital alone.
Yeah.
The religious houses, everyone should be informed about this women's health issue that is biting deep into the society, biting deep into our global world. And if we are fully educated, we'll be able to go for proper diagnosis so that it can be detected early, and that alone could prevent it from even going deeper.
Yes, and that also is why we are making sure we enlighten people. We make sure, we talk to people, we make people aware of these kind of things. And okay, before we go for our next Vox Pop feature, we have, how often do you go for medical checkup? Please stay with us.
Yeah, so that's a Vox Pop you're having. Because a lot of people, like I said about the cervical cancer, we have to go for testing.
Yes.
And that happens when we have a medical checkup. So how often do we, as individuals, go for medical checkup? Like, for example, you have a headache, and the next thing you do, you pick tablets and you take it. But the thing is, what if what you're going through is more than the headache?
Yeah.
So if you go for a proper checkup, it could protect you from anything. That's why they say prevention is better than cure. So I think we need to find out what people are saying about it.
Yeah, let's
How
find out.
often do you go for checkup? Enjoy the Vox Pop.
Well, if I don't get sick, I don't go to the hospital. So that's it. But if I'm sick,
Once in 3 months. Once in 3 months.
3 months, I go for my checkup.
I used to go for checkup very well. To check the way my body is, maybe I'm okay or not. I used to go very well.
I go to the hospital for medical checkup anytime I feel I have need. I don't go frequently since I'm actually okay.
Not deceive anybody. I think for this year I've not gone for any medical checkup. Obviously, if I'm not sick, I don't go for a medical checkup. I don't really, maybe, I would say maybe time or something. I don't go for medical checkup anyway. I'm kind of like you. And I think that is how most Nigerians are.
Sometimes when I just feel like I'm not feeling fine, that's just how I go.
I don't normally go. Unless I'm forced. Very poor.
Medical checkup. Well, although I'm somebody that don't take my health for granted, so anytime I observe any little change in my system, I go to see the pharmacist. I also go to the hospital when it is necessary. So once in a while, I do that.
I go for medical checkups once in a while, depending on my health status and how I feel.
Before now, I do that often, at least, let me say, every 2 months. But for a while now, to be sincere, I've not been doing that. Well, probably that should be one of my children for 2021, to go back to the old way of checking my health status at least once in 2 months.
So I do go for my medical checkup when I discover that my body system needs it. I'll go for.
I don't fall sick often. Maybe once in 3-4 years. That's when I have malaria. So I don't have any cause to go.
Whenever it's required, I cannot predict this is the time, this is the time. If I fall sick, it has become necessary for me to go to hospital.
Yes, even the time that doctor says I have to come, I have to go there. Yes. When I feel that the body is not so much, I have to go there to check.
For the medical checkup, I do it like 3 times in a year. I don't do it often, 3 times in a year.
Okay, yes. You're welcome back to the mid-morning show on BCOS television.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
When was the last time you went for medical check?
Now, that's the question we should ask ourselves. For me, I've been feeling so comfortable of recent, and I've not even taken myself to the hospital for a checkup.
Okay.
And even to take the drug, I've not taken any drug. I just drink water. I've just been drinking water. So it's become a very bad habit amongst almost everybody. We don't go for medical checkup. And we need to go for the medical checkup.
You made mention of something, taking water.
Yeah.
I think so many people don't understand why water is really, really important in your body system. Water prevents lots of things. Sicknesses, germs, diseases. When you wake up in the morning, first of all, take water. It helps you, it aids in digestion.
That's the thing. We say, let's take water. Let's take water. There's an amount of water you should take in
At
the
least
morning.
a liter of water.
Yeah, you must take that amount of water. Well, most of the times we just do things, self-diagnose, self-treatment, which is not right. As much as they say, okay, water is what you should be taking, there's a limit to everything. And that's why they say, okay, go for a medical checkup, where you'll be able to know, and your doctor will be able to tell you, this is what you do, this is what you do. Now, for medical checkup, the reasons why we need to go for medical checkup, according to reports, is that it helps for early detection, whatever sickness or any ailment that we might be having, and also is a form of prevention, a form of self-care for yourself as well. And also is a risk assessment thing. Okay, I sense, maybe your doctor says this might be going on with you, this might be going on with you. Okay, let's take it this way. Let's try and prevent it. That's another one. Then also saves money. You won't be spending much if you know what is actually wrong with you.
True.
And it will not get to the point where you won't be able to afford again. So when we begin to go for checkup, it helps us reduce costs for any healthcare that might be extremely expensive. And also it helps our mental health. When you're going through a whole lot of things, you're not feeling fine, you're having a headache, we can't function mentally. So it helps us to have a good mental health when you know that, yes, I know I'm going through this, but I'm getting better. It makes you function well, even at your place of work, with your family as well. So whatever we might be going through daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, please let's go for medical checkup. Now, there was a time we had a doctor on the show and he said, ensure that on your birthday, you go for your medical checkup. So you know that you will never forget. So you mark it, okay, well, yes, I'm going to enjoy myself, but I'm going for my yearly medical checkup. So these are things that we need to pay attention to. Like on our show today, of course, we're talking about hormonal. We're going to be talking about hormonal imbalance in women. Like we said, is under-discussed, under-diagnosed, very, very, very vital in the life of women's health. But we don't talk about it. And it's happening.
Yeah.
Over 80% of the women globally go through hormonal imbalance. What is the hormones? People don't even know they have hormones. People don't even know why it should be balanced and why it should not be imbalanced. So these are things that we'll be discussing on the show today. So we'll be giving you more insights about women's health on the show today, because today we talked about cervical cancer. That was a very insightful feature. And now we talked about, we gave you a vox pop on how often do you go for checkup? And we've told you the significances of why you need to check your health. Now, we are not just focusing on women's health now. It's both women and women are involved, because every man has at least one or two connection with a woman, and a woman too is connected with every woman around her. So the more we are informed, the more we protect the women from whatever cervical cancer or hormonal imbalance it can be. But I think we need to go for this break. Then we come back, we'll talk more on women's health. This is still the Mid-Morning Show. All right. Of course, we talked before that on that quite short break. We're talking about cervical cancer, and we talked about hormonal imbalance, and we talked about how often we need. We had a vox pop asking people how often they visit the hospital for medical checkup. Now, another thing is we have common cancer conditions that we need to know and we need to be informed on, and that is what is coming up right now. It's still the Mid-Morning Show.